lie, right? That, yeah, he did have sex with several of these women. And so now their defense strategy is, we're not going to deny that we had sex with them. We're now pivoting towards towards our take being, hey, guy, no sexual assault. This was all consensual. But you understand why this looks so bad, man. The guy is either a creep and a sex addict, even if he's not guilty of sexual assault, right? Because he's going on Instagram. He's going on, whatever means, whatever websites you use to book independent massage therapists. If you're booking massage therapists and then finessing the sessions into a sexual encounter, you are a creep. Whether you committed assault or not, you are a creep if you're trying to parlay massage sessions into sexual encounters. Like even the ones that even if there were some massages where Deshaun didn't wind up having sex with the masseuses, you're still putting these women in a position where you booked a massage under false pretenses. It's absolutely gross. Like something that I don't understand, and I know that there are different kinks out there because a few years ago when the Bill Cosby stuff came to light, nobody could understand. Why is a famous, funny guy like Bill Cosby back in the 70s having to drug women to sleep with them? It doesn't make any sense. He should be able to get plenty of women. So you cannot explain certain kinks. Like you cannot explain what certain people are into. But with Deshaun Watson, I don't see why this guy couldn't focus on using Tinder and trying to find sex partners that way, not under false pretenses, or hell, and I heard Toast talking about this morning, but he's right. Like, if you're that desperate for like discreet encounters, go to the back pages and find an escort. Go to Nevada and go to the Bunny Ranch. That's even a legal way to do it. But there must be just some weird kink with this guy. And again, like this part of it, folks, is factual. I do not know whether or not he committed sexual assault. I don't know. I follow this case the same way everybody else follows it. I see the news stories. I read about it. I listen to what the lawyers are saying. Obviously, I do not know whether or not he committed sexual assault. But I do know this guy was booking massage therapy and then parlaying it into sex. And that even that, it's false pretenses. It's creepy. It's wrong. It's unethical. So yeah, maybe he's not guilty of sexual assault, but his brand is never fully going to recover from this, because even if he wins every one of these lawsuits, even if he avoids criminal charges, at the end of the day, people are going to remember that was the guy that was booking massage therapy in hopes of turning it into sexual encounters. Whether it was consensual or not, it really doesn't look good for him, man. All right, we're going to get down to business and talk some football when we come back. Jakari Givens from the 5 Reasons Sports Network is going to join us. You're listening to your home for Miami Dolphins fans all over the world. We are OnSideRadio.com.
We'll be right back to the Man of the Match with Alex Donno. You can join us on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. You can connect with us at OnSideRadio.com by sending us a text at 844-416-8123. Save it on your cell phone, 844-416-8123. No better place to send your comments, ask questions, win prizes. OnSideRadio.com, the only choice for the South Florida sports fan. If you missed Onside Zone with Big O, you missed.
The 25-year-old was reportedly arrested this past week near Vail, where a sheriff's deputy said he saw Camargo's car speeding and changing lanes erratically, which is always really smart. When you're carrying a lot of drugs, you want to speed, you want to swerve, you want to look like you're drunk and high and all that. You want to cause as much attention. You want to bring as much attention to you when you're carrying a load of drugs. That's just the tip for you, thieves out there, you drug dealers, you criminals. Bring all the attention possible to you while you're committing a crime. It's really, really smart.
The Onside Zone with Big O, only on OnSideRadio.com.
Hey Panthers fans, Dave Dwart here with some awesome news. Every Saturday, I'm going to bring you the latest on everything to do with the Florida Panthers with Chirping the Cats Radio. Saturday mornings from 10 to 11 a.m., we'll dive into the state of the team, recap games, and hear from past and present Panthers players and plenty of other great hockey guests too. Got questions about the Panthers? Call or text the show and we'll break it down. Don't miss Chirping the Cats Radio, Saturday mornings from 10 to 11 a.m. only on OnSideRadio.com.
He has an overbite that makes him look like a cartoon character, a slightly crooked eye, and an uncommonly wrinkly neck. In the right light, he can look a little like a garden gnome, and he'll wear a bow tie just because. Sure, you might call him a little quirky, but that's exactly what makes him so perfect. Tuna is a 3-year-old Chihuahua Dachshund mix with more than 700,000 followers on Instagram, and it all started because he was adopted. You can't buy a best friend like Tuna, but you can adopt one. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
ADHD. It's the child who can't pay attention or sit still in school, right? The answer may be yes. Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, or ADHD, can be complicated and it can last a lifetime. Living with a condition can sometimes be a challenge. It may take years to accept a formal diagnosis, and it's not always easy to find the right treatment plan. Did you know that up to 75% of children and adolescents with ADHD have at least one additional mental health condition that also requires a comprehensive approach to treatment? ADHD guidelines were recently updated to reflect the need to screen for associated disorders. Be sure to talk with your child's doctor about proper screening and visit moretoadhd.com for additional information. That's moretoadhd.com. This message has been brought to you in partnership with ADA, ACO, and CHAD.
Welcome back to the Man of the Match with Alex Donno. You can reach out anytime on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623.
Welcome back in to Man of the Match here on Onside Radio, taking you up until 6 o'clock tonight. You know, we always love talking football with our good friend, Jakari Givens, who does an awesome job on the 5 Reasons Sports Network and on the Sixth Ring Show. Jakari, good afternoon, man. How was your weekend?
It was great, man. Pleasant weekend. Exciting news as far as, the Hurricanes. Seen some great performances from their game on Saturday. Not game, but scrimmage on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm pretty happy about that. Always exciting news coming out of the Dolphins world over there, since we acquired the 6th pick. So there's always some speculation going on.
Well, I want to start with the Canes because you're right. There's a lot of buzz, and I think there are a lot of different angles to go to. But Jakari, I want to start with Tyler Van Dyke. I mean, it's been really impressive to me the way he's really taking the opportunity, like not only to try and cement himself as, the backup quarterback behind De'Ara King, but he's also, he's trying to make his case for the future. And, he does have some advantages over Jake Garcia, being healthier at the start of spring, being a year in the system because he was here redshirting last year, being a little bit older and maybe a little bit more mature. But, it sounds to me like, Jakari, because a lot of people kind of, I'm not going to say forgot, but a lot of people weren't really buzzing about TVD once Garcia committed. It was all about Garcia to the fans. And it's like Tyler Van Dyke is reminding everybody, hey, I'm here too.
Well, you have to understand, once it's just like having a new car versus the old car, right? Sometimes you devalue the old car, even though the old car still runs great, everything is great on it, but you value the new car, and the new car may not be as good as the old car. So it's just like having cars, and you don't, sometimes you forget the value of them until you need them, right? So it's sort of like Van Dyke. Van Dyke made people remember why he was one of the top-rated quarterbacks in his class, and now Garcia, he's having his moments, but I think Van Dyke had the advantage to begin with, and I think he's just capitalizing on his opportunity. I think the kid can play. He's not as mobile as we thought, but he's good. You know what I mean? So you can't forget about it. In the recruiting world in college, you always forget about some old players just because a new 5-star, 4-star recruit. It's all about the stars coming in. But sometimes those guys are not better than those guys who are already on campus. Van Dyke had a year to be ready. He played sparingly, and he just seizing his moment, and that's indicative to him because he stepped up when he's needed to be there. And I think he's the guy going forward. We'll see what Garcia can bring to the table. But I think Van Dyke, how he's been performing, he should be the backup quarterback while Garcia redshirts this year.
And, Jakari, obviously, when we're talking about Van Dyke and Garcia, neither of them has any, in-game experience yet, of course. But just based on everything you know about both guys, which one of them on paper do you think is the better fit for a Rhett Lashlee offense?
Ooh, that's a hard question because both of the kids bring different elements to the offense. I'm going to lean more towards Van Dyke just because he can spin it a little better to me. That's in my opinion. I do think Garcia has a lot of potential, but I think Van Dyke is better in the offense because he's been there. And obviously, Rhett Lashlee had Shane Buechele, who struggled at Texas. He had an explosive season under Rhett Lashlee at SMU. So it doesn't matter who the quarterback. If he can spin it, he can spin it, and I think Van Dyke fits more of that mold that Buechele brought to the table than Jake Garcia does.
Well said. We're joined here by Jakari Givens from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Manny Diaz indicated, and this is not a big surprise because you expect this, that, after that scrimmage on Friday, the defense is ahead of the offense right now. And I think that's probably the way that it should be, if we're being honest here. But, Jakari, what's your expectation for Miami's D this year, especially with Diaz calling the plays again? How good do you think that defense can be?
So I think with Diaz back calling plays, they're going to be more aggressive. My expectation is those guys to be back to about a top 15, top 20 defense in the ACC. I think they'll be back to get more turnovers, more aggressive. They have better secondary players now with Stevenson, Bubba Bolden coming back, Kamari Kitchens ascending, Avante Williams ascending, and you got Al Blaze coming back. You still got Corey Couch, Keontre Smith. You got Amari Carter moving down the striker, which I think fits him a lot better. So I just think Miami has a lot of flexibility at each level. The pass rush will be a question going into the season. But if they can acquire that pass rush that they've had the last 3 to 4 seasons, Miami's defense is going to be a wrecking ball through the ACC, just because I don't think people will be able to throw on them with that great secondary that they're going to be probing. And I think the linebacking core will, can be able to grow into the season because your strengths are going to be the D-line and secondary. When is the last time we were able to say that about Miami?
Yeah, no, that's right. We're joined here by Jakari Givens. So Miami had a scrimmage a few nights ago. They got the spring game coming up this Saturday morning. So, Jakari, is there anything else we haven't gotten to? Anything from the aftermath of that scrimmage that really stands out to you?
It's just Restrepo. Restrepo has been stepping up major. He's had an explosive spring. I think the kid is finally coming into his own. So I feel like Restrepo is gonna, he's gonna fight his way into that rotation. I think he's gonna be one of the guys where we'd be like, well, damn, we wasn't expecting him. We was expecting the top 3 guys, Rambo, Hope, Harley, those guys to be the main guys. I think Restrepo is fighting hard, and I think he's ready to go. I think he's gonna be one of the main stables in that receiving core this upcoming season. He may even contend for playing time, the starting job over Mark Pope.
Nice. Moving over to the Miami Dolphins, I'm starting to get this feeling that expecting Kyle Pitts to drop to 6 might be too good to be true. Am I drinking the Kool-Aid too much, Jakari? Because it's like the secret is out with this guy. Like I keep seeing more and more of the national media guys and the reporters raving about Pitts, how he's a future Hall of Famer. Yeah, obviously I know there's only a couple of windows because we know the top 3 picks are definitely going to be quarterbacks. And then, Atlanta might be a little bit of a wild card. With Cincinnati, maybe they'll draft Sewell if he's there. But there's also talk about them drafting Jamar Chase. And they might just decide, hey, if we're taking best player available, that might be Kyle Pitts. I mean, how are you feeling about whether or not Pitts is going to be there still at 6 overall?
Well, I doubt that Cincinnati takes Kyle Pitts, I think they're going to get Jamar Chase because it just goes back to what's been said. And when you're the franchise quarterback, you get who you want. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So it's going to be that. I think Miami's going to have his chance between Pitts and Sewell, but Pitts is ultimately going to be the guy. I do not see no other way to put that. If they select someone else other than Pitts, then, unless it's a receiver with Smith or Waddle, you can understand. But I think Pitts is going to be their guy. I think he's going to be great in the NFL. He's not a receiver. I don't want to hear, like I said, I've been harping on that. He's not a receiver. The things he can do in the middle of the field, he's a matchup nightmare. You cannot put him at receiver. And NFL DBs are too good. College DBs are a lot. It's similar to DK Metcalf, right? Metcalf is a freak, but he struggles against some of the better corners in the league. And you see that from time to time on film. So you got to just – the things that he brings to the table, you can't deny it. So I think he should be the guy. Like if he's there at 6, it's like you rush and turn the card in. Either him at 6, you rush to trade the card in. Now if Miami trade back, then that's indicative that they want Chase. I mean not Chase. They want Smith or Waddle if they trade back. But I find it hard pressed to see them trading back. I think that he'll be the guy. I think Miami fans will be happy. And also getting him that tight end blanket won't hurt. No, Tua is that tight end blanket where you can just hear that's a young quarterback's best friend is a good tight end. So I'm not opposed to that. I love the pick. I think Kyle Pitts will have a great career. The high ceiling for him, he could be the best tight end in the league with the matchups he's bringing. The low ceiling, he can just be a top 15 tight end because it's going to be hard for him not to be successful. You look at Mike Gesicki, who struggled in his first couple of years, but now he came on as Miami started featuring him. So it's kind of hard to be a bad receiver and tight end in this day and age because, it's a passing league, so you're going to always get the numbers.
Last thing I want to ask you here is about Tua. He gets a lot of hate. And I don't know why it sometimes seems like people in the media are rooting against this guy. How much better do you expect Tua can get in year 2, Jakari? How much of a jump can he take in your mind?
I'm going to be quite honest with y'all, and people are going to – Tua's jump is going to be scary to some folks. People are going to say, wow, like I didn't know, but he always had it in him. You look at what he always had it in him, think about this. The guy didn't have an off season last year. He was rehabbing from an injury. So now he's completely healthy. He's been working. And you guys are going to be like, well, I didn't think he had it. No, Tua Ben had that. He has elite traits. When you're looking at quarterbacks, he has to have elite traits. He has elite accuracy, elite anticipation. And even the players are coming to his defense and saying, hey, like they seen it in practice where that guy probably made some throws and you're like, well, I know throw. So I just think people have to – it's too much people looking for instant success. It doesn't always happen like that. Sometimes those guys are not ready. Tua wasn't ready last year. He had his moments, but he ultimately wasn't ready. And when you're not ready, you're going to struggle. It's similar to what I talk about in the NBA. Those guys are not bad players. Sometimes they're just not ready. And I think Miami, he's had a year. Miami's going to surround him with weapons. And he'll have time, and he'll be good. He'll be successful. Miami is going to make the playoffs. We don't know because they're in a tough division, but they're going to win 10 games. I can guarantee you that, and I guarantee you that Tua has close to 4,000 yards passing with about 30 touchdowns and probably about 5 or 6 picks. I can guarantee you that because the kid can play. So all the talk about can't play, and he can play.
Really well said, as always. We always appreciate your breakdowns. Hey, everyone, you want to make sure you follow this man on Twitter at KingJock24. He's Jakari Givens. You can check out his work, 5reasonsports.com on the Sixth Ring Show. Are you guys rolling it out Thursday this week, Jakari?
Yes, we will have a show right before the spring game, and I'm excited to talk about it.
I love it, man. Have a great afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us as always.
You too, brother.
That was really good stuff there, and I love it. Jakari always gets rave reviews. Marla texted in, Jakari's reporting is excellent. That was great insight on the scrimmage and on the spring game. I cannot wait for Saturday, and I cannot wait for Sunday because Inter Miami has their season debut. I want to tackle the roundtable question for today when we come back, as you know, we're only 5 days away from Major League Soccer, which opens on Saturday, 6 days away from Inter Miami. They make their season debut on Sunday. We'll get into some of the expectations, realistic ones, in my opinion, when we come back here. This is your home for Inter Miami CF fans all over the world. We are OnSideRadio.com.
We'll be right back to the Man of the Match with Alex Donno. You can join us on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. You can connect with us at OnSideRadio.com by sending us a text at 844-416-8123. Save it on your cell phone, 844-416-8123. No better place to send your comments, ask questions, win prizes. OnSideRadio.com, the only choice for the South Florida sports fan.
There are those who dedicate themselves to a sense of honor, to a life of courage, and a commitment to something greater than themselves. They have always defended this nation and each other. They still do. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Inter Miami CF, your official furniture and mattress store, is here. City Furniture is your #1 home source for the trends you want at the prices you'll love, including exclusive City Furniture collections, the widest selection of styles, affordable home accents, mattresses starting at just $99 and more. Create the home of your dreams fast with next-day delivery, plus get 60 months special financing with no down payment. Because City Furniture is here to make it easy so everyone can live life like this, visit cityfurniture.com. Hey everybody, it's Good Greek Moving and Storage, and for over 2 decades, they've been entrusted to handle all of your moving and storage needs. And now, Good Greek is the official mover of Inter Miami CF. And if Inter Miami trusts the Good Greek, you should too. For the best move ever, whether it's across town or across the country, go to GreekMoving.com. That's GreekMoving.com for Good Greek Moving and Storage, the official movers of your Inter Miami CF.
Riddle me this, with all this sizzling meat and crunchy veggies nestled between toasty flatbread, who should get credit for Papa John's new papadilla? The person who invented pizza or the person who invented folding? Well, whoever it is, a tip of the tongue hat to you, sir or madam. Get a new papadilla, 4 flavors, just $6 each. Better ingredients, better pizza, better than a sandwich, Papa John's.
My daughter Brinley is here at St. Jude. Coming here was literally life or death, and it was so scary. But St. Jude is fighting for one goal, like this one mission, life. And that gave us hope. We haven't received a single bill from St. Jude, so I really can just focus on what's best for Brinley.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Keeping you informed in the world of sports. With an OnSideRadio.com sports update.
Inter Miami CF has signed Nick Marsman to a contract that will run through the 2023 MLS season. The Dutch goalkeeper will join the club in July following 2 years with Feyenoord Rotterdam, the first division in the Netherlands. Marsman will occupy an international roster slot and is pending receipt of his international transfer certificate and P1 visa. The Miami Heat beat the Portland Trailblazers 107-98 behind Bam Adebayo's 22 points and Jimmy Butler's 20. The next game for the Miami Heat is in Phoenix against the Suns. Tip-off is at 10 p.m. The Florida Panthers lost their 3rd straight game 4-1 to the Dallas Stars. They remain in Dallas for a game on Tuesday. Puck drops at 8:30. The Miami Marlins won 3-0 on Saturday against the Mets, and their series finale on Sunday against New York was suspended due to rain. Tonight, they are in Atlanta opening a series versus the Braves. First pitch is at 7:20. With your Onside Sports update, I'm Alex Aguirre, and coming up, it's more Man of the Match with Alex Donno right here at OnsideRadio.com.
Onside Radio, the only choice for the South Florida sports fan. Welcome back to the Man of the Match with Alex Donno. You can reach out anytime on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623.
Huge thanks to Jakari Gibbons from 5 Reasons Sports for joining us. He does one of the reasons, one of the many reasons why I like having Jakari on. Not only is he a really nice dude, but he can speak to things from an inside football level better than most members of the media, because the guy played. the guy played college ball at Kansas, so he actually understands what it means to play the game. And, a lot of media members, and no disrespect, because I am in this category as well, no matter how many years you watch this game, you grow up playing Pop Warner or Pee Wee, whatever. Even a lot of guys played high school ball. I don't think there's really any substitute for the type of knowledge you can get from playing college ball in his case, and for those out there who have played pro ball. Jakari just can add so much insight that others cannot bring. So it's always nice, and it's a breath of fresh air to get him on and to get his perspective, man. 844-416-8123 is the number. That's 844-416-8123. We're going to go inside hockey at about 5:20 with Dave Dwork from Chirping the Cats Radio and from Local 10 here. But he does a show every Saturday on Onside Radio. Panthers made a couple of moves. Gusev coming in. Unfortunately, though, we didn't wind the Taylor Hall trade that I was hoping for. He winds up in Boston, but it doesn't mean the Panthers aren't winners here. So we'll get into that with Dave Dwork. But on Inter Miami for the roundtable today, with the Inter Miami season opener right around the corner this Sunday. That's April 17th. This Sunday, 3 p.m. at Dry Pink Stadium. By the way. Last year, Inter Miami made the postseason through the play-in game, but failed to advance. This year, there's no play-in game, and we're back to 7 playoff teams per conference. They expanded it last year because they had to shorten the regular season schedule. All the pandemic stuff that came with COVID, they expanded the playoff last year. We're back to 7 per conference this year. And if they had 7 per conference, Inter Miami would not have made it last year. So the question is, do you expect Inter Miami CF to end up in the top 7 in the Eastern Conference in the regular season? Now, if you were listening in my first hour, I told you there's a lot of doubters. The writers and columnists from MLSsoccer.com, all of them weighed in on where Inter Miami is going to finish. Let me read that again. This is the doubt. Mark this on your bulletin board. I hope Phil Neville is listening. I hope David Beckham is listening. I hope Jorge Mas is listening. This is what the national media thinks of our team, and I think we're going to prove them wrong, okay? Charles Boehm predicts Inter Miami to finish 13th in the East. Tim Bogert, 10th in the East. Susanna Collins, 11th in the East. Charlie Davies, 10th in the East. Matthew Doyle, 11th in the East. So most of these people I've mentioned actually see them finishing worse this year than they did last year. Sam Jones says 9th in the East. Michael LaHood, 7th in the East. Thank you, Michael. At least they're a playoff team in his eyes. I appreciate you. Joe Lowry says 11th in the East. Jillian Sakovitz, 7th in the East. Greg Seltzer, thank you, Greg, 6th in the East. And Steve Zakuwani says 11th in the East. So keep in mind, that's what the national media, that's what the people who cover that league think that Inter Miami is going to do this year, okay? Guys, I'm confident that Inter Miami, I'm not saying, they win the Supporter Shield and they win the MLS Cup this year. I'm not going to go that crazy yet. We may be a couple years away from that, I hope. But I am very bullish that Inter Miami are going to be a top 6 team in the East this year. I'm thinking a 5th or 6th finish, maybe even a 4th place finish in the Eastern Conference this year. And the formula is very simple to me, guys. Let's not forget last season was an expansion year. I know people were measuring Inter Miami against SC Nashville, who were also expansion, and they had a better season. So just because they had a good expansion year doesn't mean our expansion year sucked. You don't expect expansion years to be championship years. You expect growing pains to happen. First and foremost, I look at the spine of this team. Gonzalo Higuain is not far removed from being a world-class player. I truly believe he can do great things in Major League Soccer. He barely had any time on the pitch with Inter Miami last year, only had the last couple of months of the season, was acquired late, had to come over here from overseas, wasn't adapted to his teammates, wasn't adapted to this league. I think Gonzalo Higuain, with a full preseason and a full year to hit the ground running, is going to have a great season this year. Rodolfo Pizarro, we need more consistency there, yes. But a big issue that I saw last year that I hope can be rectified this year with the managerial change, I didn't feel like Diego Alonso, who managed this club last year, really made a lot of headway in how to communicate properly with his players. I think there was a lot of disconnect there between he and the locker room. And I also think Diego Alonso never really figured out how to maximize most of his players tactically. He did very well with Lewis Morgan. I give him credit for that because Lewis Morgan on that right wing had a better year than anyone expected. So just to be fair, I'm going to give Diego Alonso some credit for that, okay? But outside of that, I didn't think Diego Alonso tactically did a lot of favors for Rodolfo Pizarro. I didn't think he did a lot of favors for anybody playing on the left side. I think Phil Neville, from everything that I hear, like he understands how important it is to give Pizarro a little bit of freedom behind the front line, behind the strikers. And I think Phil Neville is going to find a way tactically to really emphasize how creative and how good Pizarro can be. So when you think about Higuain, when you think about Pizarro, when you think about Lewis Morgan, who was, the team MVP last year and one of the better players in MLS last year, I think he's going to thrive once again. Inter Miami has a really solid back line. Leandro Gonzalez Pires anchoring that line, LGP. I think you've got the perfect holding midfield. I mean, Blaise Matuidi was really good last year, and you bring in Gregore to be his holding midfield partner. I think the two of them are going to be rock solid. I'm very excited about Gregore. And if you look at the acquisitions Inter Miami made last year, or made before this year, excuse me, if you look at the subtractions from last year versus the additions from this year, I believe this team gets better, at least on paper, right? You got Gregore coming in, Kevin Leerdam coming in to play right back. Kieran Gibbs, who's not going to be available until the summer because he's got to finish his season with West Brom first, but he's going to be a reinforcement coming in a couple of months. You look at the key departures, right? Will Trapp, Andres Reyes. Will Trapp, not consistent enough. Andres Reyes, way too green, was not reliable, made too many mistakes. Ben Sweat, oh my God, how many mistakes this guy made. This guy cost them games last year. If I look at who's coming in versus who's going out, this team to me is getting better, okay? And you've got a tremendous spine, very good back line, a lot of potential in the defense. The front line, I talked about Lewis Morgan. I talked about Gonzalo Higuain, who I'm expecting to make more of an impact in Major League Soccer this year. One of the X factors that can really unlock the success of this team. What can you get from left wing, okay? You got virtually nothing last year from Robbie Robinson. Was a rookie, had some personal issues. Remember, he had to leave the MLS's back bubble, was never really the same after that. Robbie Robinson seems now more comfortable in his own skin. He seems to be a lot more comfortable with Phil Neville than he was with Diego Alonso, and Phil Neville likes him a lot and has been raving about him. If Robbie Robinson, who last year was the #1 overall draft pick, can start hitting his stride, he's going to be out on the left wing. I think this team's going to be in great shape. I've heard good things in practice about Julian Carranza, like he may be ready to break out this year. This team has the talent, folks. Again, you don't have the body of work of great success because even though they did make the playoffs last year, they snuck in as a play-in. It was a disappointing season last year. I will give you that. I think they're addressing the main areas they've needed to address from manager to the roster. Yeah, I don't think that the moves they made catapult them to the top of the East, but I am bullish on this team being a top 5 or top 6 team in the Eastern Conference this year. I think Inter Miami, I'm not going to be surprised, right? If they finish as the 5th seed in the East, I will not be surprised because I'm telling you it's going to happen. But I know that these writers who are predicting them to finish 13th, 12th, 11th, 10th, these haters are going to be surprised, hopefully pleasantly surprised by what Inter Miami is able and capable of doing on the pitch this year. So yeah, I feel very good about Inter Miami actually, finishing in the playoffs, even though it's a shorter playoff field this year than it was last year. 844-416-8123 is the number. That's 844-416-8123. Ooh, a text comes in. Donno, are you ever going to join the supporter group section for a home game? He says, just call in sick and come watch the game with us. That's from Vice City. You know what? Obviously, during the broadcasts, I do with Big O, we do the pregame, the halftime, and the postgame. But we sometimes, O and I, will go into the stands to watch the games when we're not in the studio. I do want to go out and visit you guys in the supporter section. I don't mind walking the extra few minutes to get into that section. Usually we go like right down below the press box in the stands, but you know what? I want to be out there with the people, and within the first few weeks of the season, I'm going to be fully vaccinated. I'm going to be rowdy. I'm going to be ready to go. Now don't expect me to be chugging beers or anything, because I will have to do the halftime show and the post game show. So I want to stay coherent for that. But yeah, man, I do want to check out and come visit the supporters, because I have a couple of good friends in the supporters group. Now I don't want to commit to joining one of the individual supporters groups, because I want to be like Fernando Fiore. He's an honorary member of all 3 of them. I don't want to choose one of them, because then it's going to feel like, to the other 2 groups, it's going to feel like I'm choosing against them. So I just want to be like a floating member of all 3 of the supporters groups. I want to check all you guys out, man. 844-416-8123. We're going to wrap up the 4 o'clock hour when we come back. Hey, guys, make sure you are listening to our guy, Kai Chen Chisholm, may or may not be related to Jazz Chisholm, every single day on Kai's Corner from 10 a.m. to noon. This guy can talk Dolphins, Heat, can talk some video games. You hear him on the esports reports. Kai Chen Chisholm does an awesome job on Kai's Corner. You can follow him on Twitter at Samurai Radio every day from 10 to noon right here on OnSideRadio.com.
We'll be right back to the Man of the Match with Alex Donno. You can join us on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623.
Join the Inter Miami family in 2021 by becoming a 2021 season ticket member. Enjoy enhanced access benefits and pricing not available to general fans. Visit intermiamicf.com/tickets for more information.
If you missed 4th and 20 with Toast and Marsh, you missed.
And the top trait they're looking for in a partner is someone that can cook better than them.
Wow.
Yeah. How are you at cooking?
I'm okay. I cook all my stuff.
What's your best dish? If I had to say, Marsh, this you're gonna eat in tonight with a girl. All right.
If I'm cooking for a girl, then I'm not cooking.
4th and 20 with Toast and Marsh, weekday mornings from 8 to 10.
Hey Panthers fans, Dave Dwork here with some awesome news. Every Saturday, I'm going to bring you the latest on everything to do with the Florida Panthers with Chirping the Cats Radio. Saturday mornings from 10 to 11 a.m., we'll dive into the state of the team, recap games, and hear from past and present Panthers players, and plenty of other great hockey guests too. Got questions about the Panthers? Call or text the show and we'll break it down. Don't miss Chirping the Cats Radio, Saturday mornings from 10 to 11 a.m., only on OnSideRadio.com.
You're listening to OnSideRadio.com. Catch up anytime by downloading the MyTuner Radio app. OnSideRadio.com, South Florida's true hometown station.
Inter Miami CF, your official furniture and mattress store, is here. City Furniture is your #1 home source for the trends you want at the prices you'll love, including exclusive City Furniture collections, the widest selection of styles, affordable home accents, mattresses starting at just $99 and more. Create the home of your dreams fast with next-day delivery, plus get 60 months special financing with no down payment. Because City Furniture is here to make it easy so everyone can live life like this, visit cityfurniture.com.
If you missed on Side Zone with Big O, you missed.
Big O, Tito is not allowed in the Boom Boom Room. Never seen Smokey and the Bandit. Never seen Top Gun. What's the matter with these kids? Look at that. Now you can't hang out with Salma, Paige, Sophia. See, now you can't hang out with the ladies because you have not seen Top Gun.
Yeah, I would just hope that, like I said, the Boom Boom Room is sanitized. I would hope.
Well, I don't know, but did you hear about the 81-person orgy?
No.
What is wrong with you?
The Onside Zone with Big O, only on OnSideRadio.com. You're listening to this station with more live and local sports talk than anyone else in South Florida. OnSideRadio.com. Broadcasting from South Florida to the world.
Can I get a captain?
Captain and what?
Captain and Ginger.
I can't hear you.
Captain and Ginger.
He was a captain and Ginger. Captain and Ginger. He was a captain and Ginger.
Captain Morgan, official partner of Major League Soccer.
Welcome back to the Man of the Match with Alex Donno. You can reach out anytime on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623.
Wrapping up the 4 o'clock hour here on Onside Radio. During the crossover segment before my show started, Big O was asking me if I had any good food over the weekend, if I was going to talk food and make everybody hungry. And if you heard Alex, I mentioned that. So yesterday, one of my listeners, Dave, who he knows that I love bloomin' onions. He was at I think he went to Outback for lunch yesterday, and he sent me a DM on Twitter of a picture of his bloomin' onion. That was around noon yesterday. 6 p.m. rolls around. I'm like, I'm going to take my family to the Outback. I've got to have a bloomin' onion. So it's glorious. It had been probably a good 7 or 8 months since I had enjoyed some Outback. We were ranking our perfect appetizer samplers last week. Now, I wouldn't put the bloomin' onion in a sampler because to me it stands alone. It stands by itself. But that might be the greatest appetizer on God's green earth. Alex, are you down with the bloomin' onion?
Hell yeah, man. Absolutely.
Yes. My wife is a weirdo because she prefers the Outback cheese fries. And it's they're fine, but, you can get cheese fries anywhere. You can't get a perfect bloomin' onion a lot of places. There's a few places that have something similar. The Texas Roadhouse, they've got their own version of the bloomin' onion. Years ago, Chili's used to do one, but they were getting their ass kicked by Outback, so they took it off their menu because they couldn't compete. But they have one at Texas Roadhouse. There might be a couple of other places you can find that have their own version of the bloomin' onion, but they always do it perfectly at Outback. And I realize I only eat probably 2 or 3 bloomin' onions a year because I'm fully aware of how bad for you they are. Onions are fine, but it's the batter and the grease because they cover those onions in the batter, and then I dip it in the bloomin' sauce. I understand the fact that they're so unhealthy. Every time I eat, half of a bloomin' onion, I'm probably taking a few months off my life, but it's worth it. I'm telling you, it's worth it because if I'm on my deathbed at 88 years old and the doctor is like, sir, if you hadn't had all those bloomin' onions, you might have made it to 89. I'm going to tell the doctor, no regrets. I'm good. I enjoyed some bloomin' onions. My time is up, sir. I'm ready to go, man. 844-416-8123 is how you reach us. That's 844-416-8123 on the text line. How about our buddy Andy in Scotland says he's had Pfizer, both doses now, no side effects either time. I'm hoping for the same thing. I had my first dose today about 5 hours ago. I'm still feeling good. I don't feel any different. I'm not, I'm not a Jets fan or a Juventus fan. I was a little bit worried that there could be a side effect like that, but I feel the same. I'm expecting some arm soreness at some point, but it has not kicked in yet. My arm is still limber and loose. I'm warming it up in the bullpen. So we're good, guys. 5 o'clock hour coming up. Hey, at around 5:20, we're going to welcome in David Dwork from Chirping the Cats Radio. We're going to talk about Montour, the Panthers trading for Brandon Montour, the defenseman from Buffalo. And we're going to talk about Gusev being signed, Nikita Gusev, the two newest Florida Panthers. We're going to talk about that with our guy Dwork. At 5 o'clock, though, is Kyle Shanahan potentially having a change of heart on the way he's going to spend his third overall pick? I want to get into that. Plus, a certain NFL receiver has been released. What could his future hold? Could he reunite with an old friend of his? We'll get to that and more when we return. Make sure you tune in to our guy, Dave Dwork, every Saturday, 10 to 11 a.m. Panthers fans, you have a place to call home because David Dwork hosts Chirping the Cats Radio. He gives you the down and dirty on the Florida Panthers every Saturday, 10 to 11 a.m. right here on OnsideRadio.com.
OnsideRadio.com knows gamers need a home.
Can you dig it?
That's why for the next 60 seconds,
Can you count, suckers?
here's your Onside Radio E-Report with Kai Chen Chisholm.
The Call of Duty League finished their major tournament 2 this past weekend, which saw the Toronto Ultra win their first tournament of the CDL as they were able to beat Atlanta FaZe in the final round. There was also a lot of drama that happened over the weekend after Minnesota Rocker beat Optic Chicago in a very, very close match in round 11 of the Search and Destroy in the 5th game. It lined up perfectly for the Minnesota Rocker and player accuracy, also known as Lamar, as he was able to get a 1v3 as all 3 players lined up and get the win. The big issue came after the match when the Minnesota Rocker Twitter account tweeted out a picture of the 4 players from Optic Chicago, distraught and upset, with tweeting it saying, "We are witnessing a breakdown brick by brick." Players from Optic Chicago as well as owner Hex did have some issues with it.
Stay in touch in the world of gaming with the Onside Radio E-Report. We'll be right back to the Man of the Match with Alex Donno. You can join us on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. You're listening to OnsideRadio.com. Catch up anytime by downloading the Radio.net app. OnsideRadio.com, South Florida's true hometown station.
Hey everybody, it's Good Greek Moving and Storage, and for over 2 decades, they've been entrusted to handle all of your moving and storage needs. And now, Good Greek is the official mover of Inter Miami CF. And if Inter Miami trusts the Good Greek, you should too. For the best move ever, whether it's across town or across the country, go to GreekMoving.com. That's GreekMoving.com for Good Greek Moving and Storage, the official movers of your Inter Miami CF.
Miami Dolphins fans can always count on the best coverage at OnsideRadio.com. Every week, keep up with your favorite team as Dolphins writer Omar Kelly joins us with exclusive reports. And when news breaks, catch the EJDConstruction.com Miami Dolphins report on the home for Dolphins fans everywhere, OnsideRadio.com. You're listening to the flagship station of Inter Miami CF, OnsideRadio.com. Follow us on social media at Onside Radio. Welcome back to the Man of the Match with Alex Donno.
It's all yours. Just keep it right here.
You can reach out anytime on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623.
Yeah, well, 5 o'clock hour of the match with Alex Donno. Oh, I'm Alex Donno here on OnsideRadio.com with you guys until 6 o'clock. Then we'll get your Monday night started tonight. I might be doing an Italian soccer-related live stream tonight, but I'm not sure. I had already told my my podcast co-host Jerry, like, hey dude, I'm getting my vaccine today, just in case I'm tired or something. I may want to do the show another night. So honestly, I feel fine. I still might tell him I don't feel like doing it tonight because I'm a little bit lazy, but I'm never too lazy to be here with you guys here on OnSideRadio.com. This is what I love to do, man. 844-416-8123 is how you get us on the text line. That's 844-416-8123. Got Alex Aguirre back in our studios. I know he's jonesing for some Marlins baseball later tonight. Yeah, I was talking earlier about how I got a craving yesterday for a bloomin' onion, so I had to go to Outback and get one. Rafa in Miami with a good shout. He wrote into the YouTube chat. Tony Roma's used to have a good onion loaf, I think it was called. I remember that. Oh man, a few months ago on Foodie Friday, we were ranking the best restaurant chains that no longer exist. And Tony Roma's was right up there. Tito and I were discussing it. We were talking about Tony Roma's. And, I had brought it up because, I really liked their ribs. They had good bread service. Like they had that, I think they had like brown bread, like a pumpernickel thing, kind of similar to what Outback has, if I'm not mistaken. I remember the bread service at Tony Roma's was always good. They had special butter with it. And Rafa is totally right. I don't know how Tony Roma's ever went out of business. Like there might, people pointed out to us, they still have some mall food court joints. That's not really the same thing. That's like a Tony Roma's Express. Like the food's not the same. I've had it before years. I think there's still one in the Dadeland Mall, like in the food court, but it's really not the same thing as the actual sit down, real life Tony Roma's, which I don't think there are any of those left. Maybe Orlando, because restaurants always seem to live on in Orlando. Even when all the other ones close up, there's always one of everything left in Orlando. But yeah, Tony Roma's, I think, is done. But Rafa's right. They had this, what they call it, the onion loaf. It was a tumbleweed of onion strings. But they gave you the special sauce, which was pretty similar to what they have at Outback. I used to, like when I was in college, I dated this girl who was an absolute psycho because like we would go to Tony Roma's sometime because there used to be one. We were at the University of Miami, and there used to be one like nearby, in South Miami, not far from UM. And we would go to Tony Roma's sometimes, and she loved the onion loaf appetizer, but she didn't dip it in the onion sauce, which I think it's like a Thousand Island horseradish mix, which is so freaking good. So she would dip her onion loaf in barbecue sauce. And I always thought that was strange behavior. If you don't know this by now, listening to me, I'm very, very specific about sauce pairings. I mean, anyone who dips their chicken wings in ranch instead of blue cheese, you're probably a serial killer. If you're one of those people who dips everything in ketchup, you're probably a 5-year-old, or you're probably a serial killer. Like, you need to advance your sauce game a little bit. When you're eating fried onions, they've got to be dipped in. There are a few sauces that are acceptable. The onion sauce, though, like the Thousand Island horseradish mix, that is the ultimate. I will accept, sometimes dipping in ranch or like a buffalo ranch, but barbecue sauce and onions, I'm sorry, that's not an acceptable pairing. So I should have known there was something wrong with her at that point. But I figured it out a few months later that she was not the one. She was not the one for me, man. 844-416-8123. That's 844-416-8123 on the text line. I didn't want to jinx it earlier, but I had a decent afternoon in live soccer betting today. I'm a junkie for these afternoon European games. So we had Sevilla on the money line plus 103 against Celta Vigo. Sevilla won. That was a crazy game. They were down 2-1, and then they were 2-2, and then down 3-2. Sevilla ended up winning the game 4-3. That was wild. So we won Sevilla on the money line. We in the Serie A, we won Sassuolo on the money line plus 110 against Benevento. They won 1-0. We did lose, though, Bayer Leverkusen. We had them on the money line against Hoffenheim, and that finished 0-0. You don't expect that in the German Bundesliga. Usually the Bundesliga is like very free-flowing and high-scoring. You don't see as many 0-0s, I feel, in the Bundesliga as you see in some of the other leagues. So a 0-0 between Leverkusen and Hoffenheim, that's a little bit surprising. But we'll take 2 out of 3 any day, man. I like this stat. I was on DolphinsWire.com today, Kyle Krabs' website. Now, we're saying goodbye to the 16-game era of the NFL. We moved to 17 games, and you know how this works. We're never going backwards, right? There's going to be 17 games for a while. Eventually, there's going to be 18 games, right? But between 1978 and 2020, we had the 16-game regular season era in the NFL. Here are the teams that had the best winning percentages during the 16-game era. Alex Aguirre, if I was to ask you, between the years of 1978 and 2020, which team do you think, for that, what is that, like 32 years? Which team do you think, or 42 years even, which team do you think from that period had the best winning percentage between 78 and 2020?
Pittsburgh?
Yes, you are correct.
Yeah.
Good call. Good call. Yeah. I think a lot of people would have probably guessed the Patriots, but they've only been doing that for the last 20 years, and there's 42 years in the equation there. It is the Steelers. The Steelers have the best winning percentage of the 16-game era at 60.9%. The Patriots are not far behind, though. The Patriots are number 2, just a fraction behind at 60.3%, so they're right up there with the Steelers. Then you got the Denver Broncos at 58%. The Green Bay Packers. I would have thought the Packers would be even a little bit higher because they had, I guess like the early 90s maybe weren't so good, late the 80s, but they had, they went from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. That's a long period of good quarterbacks and a lot of wins. They're at 56.6%. The Baltimore Ravens, 56.4%. The Dallas Cowboys, 55.4%. Then the 49ers, 55.3%. We'll get to the Dolphins here eventually, guys. Don't worry. The Philadelphia Eagles at 54.8%. And, hey, the Dolphins made the cut, 54.3%. We have primarily the Don Shula era to thank for that, because I don't really think that the last 20 years have contributed that much to the winning percentage. Then you have the Seahawks at 53% and the Minnesota Vikings also at 53%. So at least the Dolphins made the cut of what number are they? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The ninth best winning percentage of the 16-game era. So I'll congratulate, may he rest in peace, Coach Shula and Dan Marino for that, because I have them more to thank than for the recent exploits of Dolphins football. But I think we're getting there again. With Brian Flores and company. So this is interesting. Justin Fields is having a second pro day. Is that common? Like, are we maybe seeing some players do that this year because there was no combine? I don't know. Maybe I'm stupid. Well, don't answer that. But I don't think of is that precedented for a draft prospect to have a pro day and then just have another pro day on top of that? I guess I can understand why Justin Fields is doing this, because there are some coaches out there who chose to attend, and it wasn't just his pro day, but there were some coaches who chose to attend the Alabama pro day over the Ohio State pro day. Now, I can understand that if you're shopping for wide receivers and for running back. But a guy like Kyle Shanahan, if we're to believe all the smoke coming out of San Francisco, Kyle Shanahan attended the Alabama Pro Day because he was looking at Mac Jones as his potential third overall draft pick. Now, we've all seen the viral video. Matt Jones, who has a muffin top, right? He's not exactly a physical specimen. Mac Jones, I think I called him Matt. Mac Jones, the muffin top man, sailed some balls in his pro day. Usually you see everybody wow in their pro day because you're doing scripted, choreographed throwing sessions with receivers that you played with in college. So that's an environment built for success, not failure, right? Whereas, and we didn't have a combine this year, but normally when you have the combine, for the quarterbacks who choose to throw at the combine, then you're doing impromptu drills with receivers you don't usually play with, and you don't have that rhythm built in. So there's more of an opportunity to fail. And yet Mac Jones, even being in an environment tailor-made for success at the Alabama Pro Day, was not impressive at his pro day. You saw the viral video of him sailing a ball and then Kyle Shanahan just looking like, what the hell am I watching? And Bill Belichick, the same thing. So maybe Shanahan gets a chance at a mulligan here, right? He made a poor decision watching Mac Jones when he could have been watching Justin Fields, because Fields is going to have a second pro day, and Kyle Shanahan is one of the RSVPs. So he and John Lynch, the general manager, are going to be in Columbus, Ohio on Wednesday. They were not at his first workout in person because they were looking at Mac Jones in Alabama. Now, the Patriots are the other team so far. There may have been more by now, but as of this morning, the only two teams who had RSVP'd for Justin Fields' second pro day were the 49ers. I keep thinking Broncos because of Shanahan, because of his dad. But no, 49ers and the Patriots are the only RSVPs that I saw this morning, because they were both, watching Ohio State over Alabama. So they're going to go to Justin Fields' second pro day. So you have to wonder. I think when it's all said and done, the whole Mac Jones smokescreen was cute. Oh, let's make everybody believe that we traded up 9 spots to draft Mac Jones. Wouldn't that be funny? But come on, guys. You traded up from number 12 to number 3. You gave up multiple first-round draft picks to do that. You really think at the end of the day you're going to take Mac Jones over a guy like Justin Fields? I kind of feel bad for Fields. Over this last month or so, you've had these narratives out there, which are maybe smoke screens. Oh, we don't know if he's really a hard worker. We don't know if he takes football seriously. I don't know what that is, guys. I don't know if there's a hint of racism into that. I don't know if there's just a hint of Ohio State, is getting that reputation because of Dwayne Haskins. But if that's the case, I really don't think it's fair to compare Justin Fields to Dwayne Haskins just because they went to the same university. Two completely different young men, two completely different players. It's not fair to judge one man's work ethic on another just because they played at the same university, because everything that I understand and everybody I've spoken to says that in their mind, there are no reasonable, realistic question marks on Justin Fields' work ethic, that the kid is an absolute professional and that he's going to have all the tools to succeed at the next level. So I mentioned a longtime NFL veteran released after 12 years with the Patriots. Wide receiver Julian Edelman has been released. So the Patriots terminated his contract today with a failed physical designation. So he's clearly not healthy. Okay. And I thought that in the YouTube chat, Rafa pointed out that, hey, what are the odds he ends up signing with the Buccaneers now to join Tommy Brady, like the whole reunion tour? That was my first thought as well. When I saw Edelman released, I'm thinking, okay, he's gonna sprint to Tampa. He's gonna sprint into the arms of his Tommy Brady. But don't rule out retirement. According to ProFootballTalk.com, Michael David Smith writes, the failed physical is not a big surprise given last week's news that Edelman wasn't expecting to be healthy enough to play a full season following his knee surgery last year. He played just 6 games last season because of the knee injury. If Edelman is able to play this year, the Buccaneers would be an obvious possibility given his long connection to Brady and the Bucs' aggressiveness about taking on veteran players. But it appears, he writes, that Edelman may have played his last game not only as a Patriot, but in the NFL altogether. If so, he walks away as a 3-time Super Bowl champion who won the MVP in Super Bowl, God, I'm so bad with these Roman numerals, 53? Is that right? Yeah, I think so. And he's been part of many of the most memorable games of the last decade. Most players would kill for that career. I mean, you would kill for Julian Edelman's career. You're telling me I play over a decade in the NFL, I win 3 rings, and I get a Super Bowl MVP. If he retires tonight, he's had one of the better careers in NFL history. When you talk about accomplishments, that's great. I don't know if he's necessarily a Hall of Famer, but that's a career 95% of the players, 99% of the players who ever suited up and played in the National Football League would kill to have the accomplishments that Julian Edelman had in his career. But yeah, you're right. If he doesn't retire, it's New England or bust. It is New England or bust, man. Oh man. 844-416-8123, or you can call us at 888-441-4623. Coming up next, though, we're going to chirp the Cats. We're going to talk a little Florida Panthers with our good pal Dave Dwork, who hosts Chirping the Cats Radio Saturdays 10 to 11 a.m. right here. And make sure you tune into that every week. Panther fans can get your fix. We're on the stretch run before the playoffs now, so make sure you tune in to David Dwork every Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m. right here on OnSideRadio.com.
We'll be right back to the Man of the Match with Alex Donno. You can join us on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. You can now watch Onside Radio daily by subscribing to our YouTube and Twitch channels. Search Onside Radio. Log on, subscribe, rate, and review Onside Radio on YouTube and Twitch. Find out why Big O has a face for radio. OnSideRadio.com, South Florida's home for real sports talk.
Inter Miami CF, your official furniture and mattress store, is here. City Furniture is your #1 home source for the trends you want at the prices you'll love, including exclusive City Furniture collections, the widest selection of styles, affordable home accents, mattresses starting at just $99 and more. Create the home of your dreams fast with next-day delivery, plus get 60 months special financing with no down payment. Because City Furniture is here to make it easy so everyone can live life like this, visit cityfurniture.com.
I'm Ryan Seacrest. First responders are people who stand for a greater purpose. They will be there for you when nobody else is, to help you, your family, your community. This is their selfless promise. This is their sworn duty to protect, to serve, to help. They put themselves in harm's way for us. They come to the rescue at times when we need them most. First responders are making enormous personal sacrifices to keep showing up for us and fighting the good fight. Nearly 70% of all firefighters are volunteers. That means when they get injured or quarantined, they may not have a way to pay their rent or keep their family safe and fed. No matter who you are or where you live, when you call 911 and ask for help, first responders show up. Now, let's show up for the people who show up for us every day and every night.
Go to firstrcf.org and make a difference today.
You're listening to the station with more live and local sports talk than anyone else in South Florida. OnSideRadio.com. Broadcasting from South Florida to the world. You're listening to OnSideRadio.com. Catch up anytime by downloading the MyTuner Radio app. OnSideRadio.com. South Florida's true hometown station. Welcome back to the Man of the Match with Alex Donno. Check this out. You can reach out anytime on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623.
Yeah, welcome back into Man of the Match here on Onside Radio. So even though I was trying to spread the Taylor Hall hype train, he ends up getting traded to Boston, not to Florida. The Panthers did make a couple notable moves, though, to talk about that and to talk about the recent losing skid that we hope we snap out of tomorrow. We're going to bring in our very good friend who's a member of the Onside Radio family here, David Dwork, who hosts Chirping the Cats Radio Saturdays 10 to 11 a.m. here on OnSideRadio.com. Good afternoon, Dave. Hope you had a good weekend, man. How are you? Hello? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Maybe we have. Oh, there we go.
Here.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, I'm here. Darn technology, right?
I mean, listen, we basically have like Skynet is basically taking over, and I still haven't figured out to use half of the technology in my home, but we're getting there.
All good, man. But to answer your question, it has been a crazy few days. I feel like the trade deadline turned into like a trade long weekend because it's been going like the Panthers made a move last Thursday, and it's really been hot and heavy ever since. So it's been fun for sure. And I think the Panthers are better now than they were a few days ago. So that's also a pretty good positive.
So what can you tell me about the additions they did make? I saw they signed Nikita Gusev. They acquired defenseman Brandon Montour. I mean, how you feeling? Have the Panthers gotten better over the last few days in your mind?
Yeah, I think they have. I mean, we can start with Brandon Montour. We knew that for a while that Bill Zito was kind of looking to add a little bit of grit, a little bit more offensive prowess to the Panthers' back end. When Aaron Ekblad got hurt, that kind of got magnified. So you kind of figured they were going to bring in somebody, and Montour, he seems like a great fit because he's the kind of guy, he hangs on to the puck. He's a great mover. He's a great skater. He's actually a pretty good passer, not that dissimilar to Keith Yandel, except he's not quite the defensive liability that Yandel has proven to be this season. So I was pretty happy to see that they brought in Montour, and they got him for a third-round pick, which just kind of tells you the value that he's going to bring to the table. And you mentioned a guy, Nikita Gusev. I love Nikita Gusev. I watched a lot of him when he was in the KHL. And
yeah, I was curious about that. Just as a side note, people need to know that that Dave, he'd done a lot of play-by-play for the KHL for the Russian league. So I figured if anybody can tell me about Nikita Gusev, I figured you were the guy who could.
Yeah, and he was great in the KHL. His last 2 years there, he won the MVP, and the other one he led the league in scoring. The only reason he didn't win the MVP the second year was because a guy named Kirill Kaprizov had a nuts year. Kaprizov is now probably going to be the Rookie of the Year in the NHL this year. But Gusev, an excellent playmaker, a great distributor and facilitator of the puck, a guy who the better players he's out there with, the better he's going to be. He's one of those guys that you kind of lift him up with you, and he can skate alongside anybody. He's not going to be a flashy guy per se. He's not going to be somebody out there that's doing dangles and making crazy moves and all that. But if you put him out there with a Huberdeau or a Barkov or a Hornquist or guys that are going to create and make some space, Gusev is only going to add to that. For a horrible reference, he's kind of like a steroid to a line. You give the line a shot at Gusev, they're probably going to get better. And I realize that's a horrible comparison to make, but it's the first one that popped in my head.
And Dave, I'd initially missed this one because it happened during my show, but the Panthers acquire Sam Bennett as well. What can you tell me about that move?
That's an interesting ad because Sam Bennett, people are going to think of Sam Bennett. He was a 4th overall pick in the year that Aaron Ekblad went 1st overall back in 2014. So he was one of the top prospects in hockey, highly touted, highly scouted, all that good stuff. He hasn't become a superstar in Calgary. He's more of a grinder with some skill. But he's become a proven playoff performer. He's been Calgary's best playoff scorer their last, I think, 3 or 4 times in the playoffs. He's a smart player. He's still very young, just 24 years old, and he's not afraid to throw the body around. And he really kind of fits that persona of player that Zito has brought in since last October when he first got started as Panthers GM. He brings in guys who are professionals that will work their ass off, that are tough, and that come to work every day with that mindset, we're here to win, we're here to win. You've seen it in the past with Panthers teams that there's been, frivolous, maybe they weren't taking it so seriously. Maybe they seemed a little soft in the locker room. They weren't as tough on the ice. All those little critiques that you felt were kind of drawing the team down, despite the fact that they had the skill of the Barkovs and Huberdeaus and Ekblads and so on. Zito has brought in all the guys that filled all those holes. The Gudis, the Hornquist. Now you got a guy like Sam Bennett who's proven in the playoffs. This is a team that this moment right now is a much better playoff team than they were a week ago at this time.
I love to hear that. And so, I'm bullish for this final run, before the playoffs. But Dave, we do need to snap out of a little funk here. The Panthers have lost 3 straight games. And listen, I can understand, dropping 2 on the road in Carolina, although I really wanted a split there. And, Carolina have had the Panthers number this year, especially Vincent Trocheck, the one who got away. But then, following that up with a 4-1 loss to Dallas, what have been the biggest factors, Dave, that have been lacking in your mind during this 3-game skid?
It's really just been scoring. This is a team in the Panthers that's been one of the top scoring teams all year. They've been in the top 5 in scoring. They've been in the top 2 or 3 in shots on goal for most of the season. And it's just not clicking the last few games. Jonathan Huberdeau has been struggling a little bit. And also, yes, they lost 2 straight in Carolina. One of the games was tight. One of them was not. And it's a tough situation for them to be in. You go into Dallas, then you're facing a Dallas team that they're trying to make their final playoff push after a pretty mediocre first half of the season. but a team in Dallas that was in the Stanley Cup final last year. And they're getting better. They're getting healthier. So it's going to be a tough stretch for the Panthers from here on out. You don't want to see them ever go into a funk. But look, they've had 2 3-game losing streaks all season, and that's it. And, granted, every year is different, and I get all that. But we're still looking at the Panthers, and it's a Panthers team that has struggled to do much of anything significant for most of our adult lives at this point. So I'm not going to get overly freaked out over a 3-game losing streak against some really good teams when they're not dealing with that many injuries. They're getting Duclair back soon. They're going to get another defenseman and Noah Juleson off IR soon as well. This is a team that's getting better. So I'm not really worried that this 3-game losing streak is anything that's going to, be magnified over a larger period of time. I think the Panthers are a solid team. I think they're about to start really getting locked in and focused towards the run. Because Alex, just like I do, whether it's hockey, whether it's basketball, whatever it is, once the trade deadline passes and that kind of cloud hanging over your team and over the league is dissipated, and okay, this is the group that we're going to fight for the playoffs for. Nobody is going to get traded in this room. I'm not going to get traded. We can let that go and just really lock in. And it's something that's universal. And I think that's what we're going to see from the Panthers, because now, like I said, they're a better team than they were. They've added some grit and some playoff push, and they filled the holes that Bill Zito needed to fill. So I'm really anxious to now get to these final 14 games.
But it's a really good point about the trade deadline. I mean, we saw that a few weeks ago for the Miami Heat, how much better, like instantaneously, Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson got after the trade deadline closed, because those guys have been linked to like every possible trade out of town. So that's a really, really good point on your part. As far as the NHL trade deadline, now, Dave, I was maybe a little bit irresponsible last week because I had this whole Taylor Hall agenda, and like I was making people believe he was coming to Florida. It was probably just like, and I'm not a journalist. People need to know that. I'm just a fan. But I had this whole Taylor Hall agenda. He ends up going to Boston. Do you think the Panthers were in conversations? Like, did they get close to maybe acquiring Hall?
I mean, I really don't think so, because if you look at what it took to acquire Hall, I think it was like a 2nd-round pick and a player. It was really a low cost. It may have even been a third. I just remember so much has happened in the last 12, 24 hours. It was a low rate. Like, the Panthers spent more to get Sam Bennett than the Bruins did to get Taylor Hall. So Make of that what you will. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, the market was really weird. And with Taylor Hall, this guy, he's a big name, a former MVP, all that good stuff. But his last 2 years have not been anything to write home about at all. And he can chalk it up to being, moving around. He was on 2 teams last year, finished in Arizona. This year he's been in Buffalo. That they've been horrendous. But is it worth taking a chance on a guy that may or may not be able to become a player he was a few years ago and give up that draft capital? I think a lot of teams balked at it at the end of the day. And look, if the Panthers are going to be a better team in their general manager's eyes by bringing in the guys that they did bring, a Brandon Montour, a Nikita Gusev, a Sam Bennett, the trade he made with Chicago can't get overlooked as well, because you bring in a guy who was here last year, and Lucas Walmart, who's another guy that's going to give you some depth to that bottom 6, be able to take some face-offs, play some penalty kill shifts. So the Panthers really did kind of bolster an already deep lineup. And if they can do that without kind of blowing a hole in the side of the ship to try to get Taylor Hall, which, wouldn't have been that big of a hole apparently, I'm fine with that. Zito's brought in guys that can play both ways, guys that aren't just, like they got rid of like Mike Hoffman, for example. There's no way that Mike Hoffman would work on this year's Panthers team because he doesn't play two-way hockey. Taylor Hall, he's not a liability per se defensively, but he's certainly not going to help in that department. And if he's not going to help in either way, scoring or defense, then I'm fine with them passing on it. It would have been a flashy move and a headline grabber, but on the ice, maybe not.
If you could trust just one of these GMs to build a team, regardless of the sport, who do you trust more, Dave? Do you trust Bill Zito or Chris Greer? I'm not going to throw Pat Riley in there because that wouldn't be fair. But Bill Zito versus Chris Greer of the Dolphins, who would you trust more to build a team?
That's a really tough question. Are we playing hockey? Are we playing football? It's tough because they both seem to have
I think that's the flaw in the question. Just go regardless of sport. Like who do you trust in their respective sport to build a more sustainable winner? Greer or Zito?
I mean, I feel like you're good either way, though, based on their track records, recently. But and I think I have to go with Zito, maybe only because I've been paying so much more close attention to Zito than I have to Chris Greer, where I've been kind of following the Dolphins more as a fan the last couple of years as I've gotten more into covering the Panthers. But Zito and his staff are so meticulous, and they study every little element. I know that they're scouting all over the place. I know they've got eyes in Europe. And just based on the moves that he's made, I mean, he was in Florida for like 10 hours, and he was already like making great moves. He had his finger on the pulse of the team, and it's, look at the product, look at the results. Like, the proof is in the pudding, and the Panthers have been one of the best teams in the league all year, and this guy's just getting started. And not to take anything away at all from what Chris Greer has done with the Dolphins, because the Dolphins were a laughingstock 2 seasons ago, and last year they probably should have been a playoff team, winning 10 games. Getting something out of guys that you wouldn't have thought of. He's keeping the roster fluid. So I love what Chris Greer is doing. I just think him and Zito are kind of similar ideologies, bringing in the right kind of player, the culture type player, which, it all ties back to Pat Riley, right? So,
yeah.
I don't think you go wrong with either way, but I think I'll stick with my hockey guy and I'll go with Zito.
And you know what? You did a great job answering an unanswerable question, because I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, because seemingly everything Chris Greer has touched has turned into gold, and Zito, same thing. Now, maybe like if you're just going results wise, obviously there's a question of seeding, but the Panthers are going to be in the playoffs, while the Dolphins have not made the playoffs yet, like in the Greer era. I know people will say, hey, Greer was, on the staff since like 2007. How come they didn't win anything earlier? But he wasn't really in charge until a couple of years ago. But yeah, I really don't think there's any right or wrong answer, and you still hit it out of the park, Dave. I appreciate your time as always. You want to follow him on Twitter at David Dwork. You can check out his work at WPLG.com, and of course here on Saturdays on OnsideRadio.com with Chirping the Cats. Dave, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your Monday.
All right, brother. Be well.
Good stuff, man. And yeah, I threw out, there was like there was no wrong answer there, and of course I didn't throw Riley in there because that wouldn't even be fair. But Zito or Chris Greer, it's tough, man. I would trust either of them with my family's life. Honestly, they're doing such a great job, both of those GMs. 844-416-8123 is the number if you want to text us, or make sure you're watching us, streaming us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com, search Onside Radio. Be sure you subscribe to our channel, by the way. We're trying to get that subscriber count over 1,000. We're chipping away. We're working on that. So subscribe to our YouTube channel. Turn the notifications on so you can see when we're on live. You can also watch us on Twitch as well. I usually throw out YouTube first because I'm active on YouTube during the show, and I chat with the listeners. You guys chat with me and with each other. So youtube.com, search Onside Radio, hit the Live Now button, and make sure you smash the like button when you're in there. Hit the thumbs up. So we'll be on till 6 o'clock today here on Onside Radio. We will talk a little Miami Dolphins when we come back. You're listening to Man of the Match, your home for Miami Dolphins fans all over the world. We are OnsideRadio.com.
The Man of the Match with South Florida's own Alex Donno. Weekdays 1 to 5 p.m. on the home for Inter Miami football. OnsideRadio.com.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
If you missed Onside Zone with Big O, you missed.
She's kind of young, so I don't know. She may not be into Van Halen much. Let's see. Hey, Ruthie, good afternoon. Are you a Van Halen fan?
You know, I just had to Google Van Halen. I'm not going to lie to you. I just literally have it on my computer right now.
The Onside Zone with Big O. Weekdays 11 to 1 p.m. Only on OnsideRadio.com. You're listening to the only sports station in South Florida that likes to take your calls. 888-441-4623. We connect with a South Florida sports fan because we are South Florida. Locally owned and operated. 888-441-4623. OnsideRadio.com. South Florida's home for real sports talk.
Look out, world, we're getting strong. The future's here and we belong. She can STEM, she can do more. Like build a rocket and watch it soar. Or clean the oceans and make the world a better place. Oh, she can STEM, so can you. Find a cure, invent something new. There's no challenge in the world that she can't face. She can STEM.
Learn more at She Can STEM. A message brought to you by the Ad Council.
Keeping you informed in the world of sports. With an OnsideRadio.com sports update.
Inter Miami CF has signed Nick Marsman to a contract that will run through the 2023 MLS season. The Dutch goalkeeper will join the club in July following 2 years in Feyenoord Rotterdam, the first division in the Netherlands. Marsman will occupy an international roster slot and is pending receipt of his international transfer certificate and P1 visa. The Miami Heat beat the Portland Trail Blazers last night 107-98 behind Bam Adebayo's 22 points and Jimmy Butler's 20. The next game for the Miami Heat is tomorrow night against the Phoenix Suns. Tip-off is at 10. The Florida Panthers lost their third straight game 4-1 to the Dallas Stars. They remain in Dallas for a game on Tuesday. Puck drops at 8:30. The Miami Marlins won 3-0 on Saturday, and Sunday's game, the finale against the Mets, was postponed due to rain. Tonight, they're kicking off a series against the Atlanta Braves with Sandy Alcantara on the mound for your Fish. First pitch is at 7:20. With your on-site sports update, I'm Alex Aguirre, and coming up, it's more of Man of the Match with Alex Donno right here at OnsideRadio.com.
You're listening to OnsideRadio.com. Catch up anytime by downloading the MyTuner Radio app. OnsideRadio.com, South Florida's true hometown station. Welcome back to the Man of the Match with Alex Donno. You can reach out anytime on the Onside Sports Line, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623.
Good shout by Rafa Miami in the YouTube chat. Official retirement has happened by Julian Edelman. He tweeted out a video. I've not watched that yet. That seems to be the way players retire nowadays, tweeting or Instagramming out videos. And I'm cool with that, actually. I love the fact that, you know, players now have a platform where they can go directly to fans, right? I mean, you think about it 10, 15, 20 years ago, when a player was announcing their retirement, they would release like a statement through a wire service or they would call a press conference that may take like a day to organize. And nowadays, like Julian Edelman wants to retire. He wants to hang it up, you know, after a very, very impactful career, 3 Super Bowl rings, a Super Bowl MVP with the Patriots. He can just make a video and send it directly out to his fans. I think that's really cool. I never really understood, and I think it still exists, but do you remember, and Alex, you probably recall this because it seems like this was a big thing for a lot of baseball players, the Players Tribune. Do you remember, which may still be around, do you remember the Players Tribune?
Yes.
I always thought the Players Tribune was odd because, you know, this came out, what was it, like 5 or 6 years ago, and their mission statement is, You know, we want to give the players a direct line to speak to fans